Awesome. So just quickly, let's talk about your co-founder, Kautham. How has he helped you on this journey?
Not very much, really. He's just moral support.
Just moral support.
No, I mean, the guy, he's been great. Like, I couldn't have done it without him. Like, he should be here. In fact, I don't know why I didn't ask him. But he's. So, I think setting up a company on your own is a really lonely place. I can imagine. And the reason I say I can imagine is because I didn't have to do that. Right? Like, I set up with him.
Yeah.
And he was there all along. And like, even if everyone's got strengths and weaknesses, right? Some things he's good at, some things I'm good at. And one of the things that we found early on was I didn't know very well how to delegate tasks to people. And at the time, it's weird, when we started the company, it was more like Kautham was an employee, whereas now it's just not that. Like, he's not an employee of the business. He does, not does what he wants, but he's like, it's his company as much as it is mine. It is the way I see it. But when we set up, it wasn't like that, because like he was very much like an employee of the business, and so we weren't. It's almost like a lot of the time he was there for moral support, right? Like, where there were days where I couldn't have done. It's so hard to be alone in that kind of space, and like to have someone going through the journey with you and knowing exactly what you're feeling about things and knowing. And just being there kind of for the ride at that point was valuable. Yeah. And after that, I was like, hold on a second, this is like a super smart guy. I'm really not kind of utilising him to the best of his ability. And then when we sat down, we spoke, and we were like, look, what is it where do we see our roles going? And once we had that conversation, it was so much better, because like I knew what I had to do and he knew what he had to do, and it separated the business slightly. Whereas so he runs the operations side of the business and I do kind of other stuff. And so that conversation really helped things along. Like it's so hard when you set up a business to let go of little bits, to let go of bits and give people, let people take charge of certain aspects of that business. I had no idea how to do that. Yeah. And Kautham made it very easy, because I can trust the guy. Like, if he were incompetent, we wouldn't be here, because I'd still be doing all of the stuff that he does really well, which I'm not very good at.
I think it's important, because you don't want to end up micromanaging, especially your co-founders, right?
Yeah, man, it's like, it's hard. So micromanaging, like, I didn't really know what it was before. Like, I knew it was a word, I knew it wasn't good. And I didn't realise what it was until I started doing it. And I was like, this can't be the best way to manage people. And so, we definitely shun that kind of micromanagement culture here. We don't have that at all. Everyone's kind of got
their own roles.
Yeah, there's like a bit of autonomy in everyone's role. Like, it's nice to have that.
That's good. Yeah. So let's skip it forward. So we're down a year or two. I think we'll just film on that one now, because I think it might be dying.
Dead. Oh no. Do you need a charger or something?
It's a battery, so it's really annoying. But it's cool. Cool. The phone's good. So,
so iPhone 6.
Oh, stop.
It's 9.
So let's skip on a couple years or so, and we're now at the stage where Funding Invoice is an entity in its own right. It's doing really good business, and also we're seeing the come up of Lacunae. So let's talk about how Lacunae came and started.
So we've built Funding Invoice into this company now, where we're doing like £2 million, £2.5 million worth of business every month. We can be doing much more. We're raising, like I said, up to £10 million to be able to lend basically that much every month, which we'll get to in the next 18 months or so. And we started doing a lot of work. We started doing a lot of work in kind of loads of different industries, and I met a load of kind of. We started working with one fashion brand in particular, and so we got quite friendly with this fashion brand, and then we established, and I'm sure people have established this before, where there's a lack, I think, of kind of business, mathematical, numbery talent in the creative industries. And so we kind of just got to talking. We got on really well, and so there's Liv, co-founder, Lacunae, just ran away. But yeah, so we kind of got to talking and came up with this idea where we have a holding company which basically runs the business behind a load of different fashion brands. So we don't do anything to do with design, because it's really not me at all. I'm not creative. I can't design.
Not there designing dresses.
They are design dresses. I can't design dresses. I couldn't design, men's. I couldn't design a white T-shirt. So no, we don't do any of that. But we do, for example, when it comes to, we help them pay their factories. We then have a warehouse in Surrey, so we pay the factories, have the goods shipped over to our warehouse. We then have a few pick and packers who then pick all the goods and pack them and send them out to the department stores, and then we then fund those invoices and collect payment and do all that kind of stuff for the brands. So now that's going really well. We launched about 6 months ago, and like I said, there's 3 of us right now. Cautham's actually joined that too.
He's joined in.
Yes, because we need his expertise in that kind of thing. Like it's and of the core team we have, there's myself, there's Liv, who I mentioned, who looks after she's like the relationship holder between Lacunae and the brands. There's Ollie, who's like our chief kind of fashion guru. He runs a fashion brand and has been working in the industry for 20 odd years. So he knows his stuff about the business of fashion. And then Kautham, who does a very similar role there to what he does here.
Common theme that I'm seeing is that you need to trust people and you need to have good people.
Yeah, man. I think definitely. It's one of the things where I think you have to kind of work with what's available to you as well, though, right? So when we first started, there's nothing to say that me and Kautham were good people, good at this kind of thing. But it's just about, I think, good. How do you define? I think you define good by curiosity. How curious people are, how keen they are to learn, right? Like with me and Kautham, we wanted nothing more than to make this business succeed. That was it. And so we would do anything, we'd learn anything to make sure that happened. So even if you had someone who's not the brightest, but has the right level of ambition, they could be the right person to start something with.
I think ambition, that's key.
Yeah, definitely, man. It's it's so important. So
awesome. So the next topic I wanted to get onto just quickly, we'll talk for a couple of minutes. Obviously, you're in the fintech space. Where do you see the future of fintech going with all these different, unique banks? Monzo, TransferWise have got their own accounts now. Starling Bank, they've got their own current accounts, I think.
For businesses or
personal?
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So with all these different sort of products popping up, how do you think, especially considering you're in this space, it's going to compare? Is that your phone?
I think it's yours.
So before it got cut off, we were talking about the future of fintech and how you see conventional banks and financial institutions. How are they going to have to evolve? And especially for someone in your space, it's quite relevant for where the direction that's going to guide you.
Yeah, man, it's a weird one, fintech, right? For us, so I had a conversation with a fund the other day, and we were talking about what was it, particularly in our space, right? Are we a fintech or are we a lender? Right, where, the way I kind of understand fintech, the way I see fintech is, if what I'm consuming as the customer, if what I'm or the consumer, what I'm consuming is the tech, right? So have you seen Xero, the cloud accounting platform? Yeah. I am, as a business, we use Xero. I am consuming the technology, right? That's what, and they're a financial service, right? It's helping my finances be slicker, be easier for me to view. That I see as traditional fintech. For us, we're a fintech to the point that we have technology which makes what we do slightly easier, slightly more scalable. But people don't use us for technology; they use us because they need money, right? And investors need a return. So it's not really. I think fintech's almost to a certain extent become a buzzword, right? We are, like I said, we are a fintech company, but I don't think it's what defines us. I see us as a lender first. It's important for us to make responsible lending decisions. It's important for us to, make sure that the businesses that we're lending to are strong and solid and robust, to make sure we're making all the checks that we're supposed to be making on different businesses. That's the bit that, already it's less sexy, right? It's so this is why I think no one says that they're not a fintech. Anyone who's got some sort of technology involved in their business says they are.
Do you see yourself scaling as a platform for lending or as the human element that you guys offer? So
that I think by definition is the hard bit to scale, the human element. So I think the platform is where I see I almost find the funding invoice like the business almost see that as the customer of the actual technology behind the finance, right? But the fintech part of it is what helps us. It doesn't really help our clients as much, right? Like our clients, maybe it's slightly faster for them to submit requests for funding, okay? But the real benefit for technology for us is helping us to scale our business, rather than us having to. For example, let's say 6 months ago, the way we used to sign up clients is all via email, right? Clients would email us across their documents to sign up. We email back saying you missed out this, and then now we have a platform where they can upload a load of information, and we can then communicate to them via the platform.
Yeah.
And it's much quicker. It takes out the human element though, like what you were mentioning earlier. It removes that, which is it's not nice, but it's necessary sometimes.
I think with scale it's difficult, right? Because as you're scaling more, you're going to need to be able to maintain your cost structure in line with the amount of revenues. If you need to employ a lot more people, it's more difficult, right?
Yeah, man. So I mean, I don't really believe in kind of growth at all costs. That's not what we're trying to do here. We're trying to I want this to be a scalable, sustainable model. We're a profitable company. We make money every month. We made money, for the last 2 years we've been around. This model can be done profitably. I'd like to keep it that way for as long as possible.
Yeah.
And until I'm not saying we're not going to do some giant fundraise at some point soon, which we'll consider it. We have considered it, but not for the sake of doing it.
Yeah.
We don't need that money right now to scale our current business. If we were launching new products, it would probably be a different story. Which is something we were thinking about, but with the business we have, like I said, all we need, we find it quite easy to originate clients. We find it quite easy to find businesses to lend to, good quality businesses to lend to, and so we don't need a round of funding to grow right now. That's I think it's too easy for businesses to fall, startups in particular, to fall into this trap where people believe the CEO's role is to just always raise money. And in some businesses that's fine, but it's just not for ours right now. I imagine, if we look back at this in 2 years' time, it's probably gonna laugh and say, shit, that actually is the CEO's role. But right now it's not. So
brilliant. Well, I think that gives a pretty good overview of Funding Invoice so far, and the future looks optimistic, whatever way it's going to go.
So I don't think I answered your question about fintech.
Okay, yeah, let's go with that.
Your question was...
so how do you think it's going to change the landscape of, conventional banks at the moment?
So I think the way it will change the landscape is more that there'll be, rather than competition, I think there'll be more collaboration between fintechs and banks. I think it makes sense. It would be stupid for there to be too much competition between banks and fintechs when we don't necessarily share clients. Right? Traditionally, peer-to-peer lenders cater to clients who banks don't like, right? Who banks decide they don't want to lend to.
Yeah.
And so there's no, in theory, there's no overlap there, right? We can work together to refer to other clients. When it comes to like you're talking about TransferWise and stuff like that, I think it's just it's a wake-up call for banks to do better, right? TransferWise and businesses like that, it's a really smart way for people to get much better rates on their currency. Until banks do something to compete with that, then why would you use a bank for your currency comparison? Either there's going to be kind of better competition and better outcomes for consumers, or there'll be some sort of collaboration between the two.
Yeah. I think, this is just my predictions.
Yeah.
I think unless conventional banks change their structure and offer new products, a lot of these fintech banks are offering services very specifically. So you have a fintech bank for every single need that you have. So TransferWise eliminates the need for someone that's traveling a lot in Europe, that travels around constantly and needs a current account where there's not too many charges.
The thing is, it's so it's weird where every fintech company at the moment I can think of, the vast majority of them require traditional banks to operate. So you were saying TransferWise now offer current accounts. Are they actually current accounts, or are they current accounts hosted with a bank?
See, I don't know that. That's
find out. I imagine it's the latter. I imagine they're hosted with one of the big four banks.
That's interesting.
And the same with us, right? Like we're lending to, we're competing with banks from time to time on businesses to lend to, but we still have to use banks to remit funds and to receive funds, and we can't exist without banking.
Yeah.
So we can't hate the banks too much.
Not hating, I'm just discussing.
I mean, we can't hate them.
Oh, you. That's true.